For all the people who are confused as to what the fuck spoil even means, I'm a sugar baby. Now, he and I were not daddy baby. He wanted to spoil me as a friend, and I was buck naked because I always sleep naked. Before I removed this, that first night, I straight up asked Daniel if he would prefer it if I left it on. He straight up said that, like, my actions are my responsibility. I am going to reenact for you what he did and how he moaned. What he moaned on loop while himself off was this.
Oh, Naomi. Oh, I have no idea how long I've thought about this.
The second time when he was himself off, staring at me like I was a porno magazine, he said this.
Oh, think about this every time I my own girlfriend.
But he said that on loop until he came.
Everyone, it's time to talk about the Daniel Greene situation again, because today, Naomi King, the person that was allegedly essayed by him, has dropped another video today, just simply called Daniel Greene Situation Part 2, which, funnily enough, sounds like a more critical video with the situation part in the title. But anyways, for a quick catch up of what's happened since the first video, we've had a statement from Daniel just simply saying that he denies everything, and he labeled what Naomi said as a hate campaign. He did concede that he was having an affair, but honestly, I don't care much about that. Like, yeah, it's shitty, but when it's next to a potential SA incident, then I'm more worried about that. And not to mention as well, his then girlfriend that was cheated on is now his fiance. I mean, good for you, but man, that must either be a strong connection or a very brittle one. Just saying. But anyways, today, I want to talk about the new video that Naomi uploaded. It hasn't pivoted the story that much, because again, we have to hear Daniel's list of evidence, which he did say he will show very soon. But in the meantime, let's just see the part 2 of this situation play out. I don't want to nitpick it too hard, but the first few seconds is a very bizarre intro.
Hello, my name is Naomi King, and this is an important announcement. Was that it? Was it? I don't know, I didn't watch it. My friend gave me the lowdown. Hey guys! I really want to say thank you.
Alright, so it opens with her reading a piece of paper from like a ripped off a notebook, then it cuts, like, hey everyone, and it cuts again. I mean, whatever, but like, if you're gonna make an update, it shouldn't be like professional quality, but that's very amateurish, just saying. And I think the entire video was meant to be more like a new update to the story, because, you know, she covered like how the first night went down, and also giving more of a timeline when the message was sent, you know, when she talked to Daniel's girlfriend at the time, all that stuff, you know, to make the timeline more clear. And the first update that was surprising to me was that she's a sugar baby. I had no idea. I only bring that up because, you know, it's nothing bad, but like, that might be like a small part of the story that would be developed. Like, you know, they weren't just friends. I'm just, you know, making a theory right now, a game theory, that's it. But there might be a story where they met up in a way, and, you know, it got very intimate, never, you know, romantic. I mean, she does say herself that, you know, it never went any more further than a platonic relationship. But I'm just saying that if Daniel does talk about it, he might show his own side of the story and how he felt romantic on that side. I have no idea, I'm just saying. I mean, the first way that they met was like through Instagram, where he sent her like a Black Lives Matter post, or, you know, they talked out that way. But I'm just saying, you know, later down the line, we might hear more about that and how it played into this incident of how he felt comfortable with her and that he believed he was fine. Just saying. And I think one of the biggest parts that she wanted to add was a breakdown of the story, where she, you know, she explained what she was wearing and how, you know, how she went to bed, where she wore like a very like tie-dye thick sweatshirt, not that bad, but then later on when I went to bed, she asked him if he felt comfortable if you take it off, because normally she sleeps, you know, bare, naked. And, you know, she does say like how she asked him that, and he said verbatim, as she claimed, that your actions will lead to your own consequences, and that's a very out-of-pocket thing to say. However, I think that detail has like a very bizarre aspect to the story, where if you really are friends, I think it's very bizarre, to ask them, just even like the question itself, if they feel comfortable with you going to bed naked while also being in the same bed together. Like, it's so bizarre. When I first watched the first video, I was like, oh, maybe it's like a hotel room, with 2 beds. That would make more sense. They're friends, or as he's claiming, right? But no, as it turns out, they were in the same one. Again, none of this is like an invitation, for what Daniel did the first night, not at all. But it does make me question the relationship and how close they were, where they felt comfortable to be in the same bed sleeping, and also where she wanted to ask him if he was alright with her sleeping naked. Like, that sounds like a bit of a stretch of a platonic relationship. So there you go, so you can tell, very thick one. She breaks down, and then like she goes like how she was positioned in the bed, like he was right here on the left and she was on the other part, and then like when she felt uncomfortable, she made like a barrier with her hand and she was like facing towards the pillow, right? My issue with this section is that it feels very different from what she said initially in the first video, where, I'm gonna be honest, she made it sound like he was like a werewolf craving for sex, where she was already in bed for like a couple of hours, I believe. Because she was in a hotel room at 8, I remember, because of the DM, and he came in at midnight, and then, the second he came in, he climbed onto the bed and started making out with her.
I specifically asked him to bring coffee. He turned up at midnight, sober and awake, and pressured me, half asleep and on drugs, into sexual things that he and I had agreed beforehand would not happen.
I think this new aspect of like them already being in the bed together, like sleeping at the same time, then it sort of changes the light, because it goes from like the first story where like someone sleeping already and half asleep, half high, like the worst state possible, to then her being not that tired, or both of them being around the same level of tiredness, like very much more different, like the first one that she said, where it sounded much worse. This one still sounds pretty bad, but much more different, that needed that clarification before the fact. The other update that she added on top that I had no idea about was how the second incident, which is pretty bad when she first detailed it in the video, was how he was flaunting like an actual fucking pimp king. Again, back to the sugar baby stuff. He was flaunting the money they took from an ATM over her naked body while he was allegedly forcing a blowjob from her.
He also made me lie down on the bed while he laid the money that he took out of the ATM that he promised would be just for being friends on my body.
That's very nasty, but I had no idea about that. But is that one detail that makes me believe there was like a sugar baby thing going on? I mean, she clarified again, like, it never got to that part, but until we see more stuff from Daniel, that potential story can be ruled out just yet. I mean, like, it's like one of 10 other stories, like there are a bunch of different ways this could play out, and that could be one of them. I'm not saying it is, but still a possibility on the table. Okay, now for this part of the video, I want to cover the parts I felt very, very weird, because initially, the reason why I feel like I fucked up in the first video where I was believing her too much. I'm not calling her a liar now, I can't prove that, but like in the first video I was saying like over and over, oh, it's an allegation, but emotionally I was leaning in too much to it, because at the time in that video she felt very civil, but there were some weird parts now that made me question her emotional stability, with all due respect. Like this part, watch this part and tell me like this came from a person that mentally is 100% rational.
I am going to reenact for you what he did and how he moaned from both incidents. Night 1, what he moaned on loop while jerking himself off was this.
Oh, Naomi. Oh, I have no idea how long I've thought about this.
Right, I get people have like different ways to approach emotional traumatic stuff, but this feels like in an ingenuine way. Like this feels like the kind of thing where initially it was bad, then the way you replay in your mind, you make it so much more disgusting. Because in reality, if it really was that awful, you wouldn't feel that comfortable singing now with a smile on your face. I mean, in this screen grab, she's not smiling, but throughout the video you have a couple of cheesy smiles, just saying. And so I put down my notes 11:07, something like that. I want to see what part made me feel sick. I want to see.
The second time when he was jerking himself off, staring at me like I was a fucking porno magazine, he said this. On loop until he came.
Thank you for saying I really didn't want to include this. Thank you, but like it doesn't make a difference now because it's already here, and I'm covering it.
Think about this every time I fuck my own girlfriend.
That's what he said. It's really disgusting and really mean.
Okay, no, it's mean. I think it's worse than mean. But if it is true, yeah, that's disgusting. But man, like I think an actual, most people would not feel comfortable in a video, talking about it in that way, unless it was a very heavy embellishment. The next part that made me question like the signals that we're getting between Naomi and Daniel was these messages that he put up in the video, which, I mean, I can't say, like, it doesn't really paint like a very clear story in my mind, but like, there were some parts that made me believe that, what they were saying to each other about being friends, keeping off limits, it makes me question that a tad bit. Okay, so I'm guessing in context, I can't see the date, but it was after the Vegas trip, saying, there's one, I won't read all of this, it's quite a lot, but there's one part where she said, I said I want you to do it right then and there for you. And if she did say, like, let me just stop right now. Let me stop talking my mouth. Yeah, this section. The last night I said I wanted you to do more because you said that had been your favorite part. I'm sorry, but like, I'm questioning like the severity or like the legitimacy of it being sexual assault if it says the last night I said I want you to do it. This doesn't excuse the first incident, because we haven't seen more evidence about that. If it was being forced, then yeah, that's disgusting. But the second time, when I'm reading this, it feels more like it was something that was, talked about between each other, and they both agreed to it. As it says right there, he wanted to, and also she said that she wants you to do it. Like, that's a tad bit bizarre. And also, if I'm already at this part, I might as well cover, like, these messages. And again, I won't read all of it, but like, what I got from it was that at this instance, whenever I came after the trip, honestly, she sounds more like pissed off that he went back and forth, being like, I won't fuck you, I'll fuck you, I won't fuck you, I'll fuck you. I had no idea about that, but like, I'm not getting the feeling that it's someone that felt devastated after being sexually assaulted. Like, it sounds someone more like distraught that they were being like a second choice, after Daniel's actual girlfriend. Like, I'll prove right now. The issue is that you kept going back and forth. You set it up, then you said you never do it, then you said you might, then you said absolutely no. Then you turned up that night and had changed your mind yet again. You did pressure me, but at the same time, I want you to happen before. On one hand, it completely fucks me up whenever you change your mind, but on the other hand, I know it's going to happen. I promise you I will never change again. I know you won't believe me now, and it's on me to prove it to you. It must have invited you in July. Pressuring for something, making me feel like you want it, then immediately regretting it, doesn't feel good. But at least I got paid. Sugar daddy? It feels hard to ignore. Ouch, but yeah, fair. Do you hate me? I won't blame you. The whole trip probably would have fucked me up emotionally. I mean, like her saying doesn't rule out, she was sexually assaulted, but like, is this really like, the biggest thing that was on your mind, being like a second choice? I cry because time and time again, all throughout my life, I've always been second choice. And every time you fuck me around, it hits me right where it hurts. You spent so much long trying to not hurt Kayla that you've just pulled all that on me. So again, like, it just feels like someone that wasn't, didn't appreciate not being committed to, and now, she's pissed more about that. And if that's a real case, then yeah, I think this allegation of being sexually assaulted might not be the strongest. And I sound like a piece of shit for saying that, but I'll break down what I mean more in depth later in the video. And also in this update, she gave a bit more clarity on, on the ghosting that happened after on April. So she was saying, hi, there's a part of me that's still hurt and mad and wants you to suffer. Sounds a bit malicious, but I also love and care about you, and I'm worried about you. Then he talks about like how, he feels really bad. I'm trying to fix myself. I'm not trying to be the person that the voice in my head tell me I am. A part of that is stopping with the lies. The guilt made me suicidal. That sounds very bad, but he talks more like how he wants to not talk to her again because, it ruins him and his relationship with Kyla, his girlfriend. And my issue comes that, in the first video, it sounded like, he was just ghosting her, like being a piece of shit, but I wanted to admit it to her. And then it just sounds more like now, with these new DMs, that he was being very honest with how he felt about her, and he didn't want to talk to her anymore after. And that's not really ghosting, because, it would be just ignoring her outright, as opposed to this, which is making it very clear to how he doesn't want to see you. Now, I will say this now. When I first made my video on it, I did say, like, I could not think of a charitable reason for why he sent that a cease and desist. But now, after some more time and watching his video, it was a very short statement, but whatever. After I watched it, I realized, wait a second, there is one of many possibilities where they were actually in a relationship together, an affair, it went really bad, and now she is pushing it to be like a sexual assault allegation on him because he's bitter, or she really believes it. One of those possibilities. I'm not saying that's the case, but if it is, that will explain why, when he saw that video, her conversation on, consent and sexual assault, all that stuff, he felt like, he was twisting this very bad experience onto a more serious crime, which he wanted to put on him, and that's why potentially he sent that cease and desist to make her shut up about him and not push this, as a really bad incident. Because when you watch that video, she didn't mention his name at all. All she said was that she went to Vegas and had a very bad experience, being sexually assaulted, but that was it. Would that excuse him sending a cease and desist to her and trying to threaten her legally? I'm not sure, but at this point, it could be a possibility right now at this point of the story. And plus, it would make sense because she did mention in this video that she had 2 clips sent to Kyla and one to Daniel, breaking down what happened. And then if that was in May, then that conversation video where she talked about it was a sexual assault, that was in June. So then around that time was when she started believing that it was sexual assault. Just saying. So that's most of it. The one other gripe I have with this video, with her story, was how she claims he was sweeping for another assault he did back 7 years ago, I show right now. It was briefly mentioned in this video, the conversation, but it was brought up with very, very small details. All we know is that it happened 7 years ago, and we don't know who it happened to. That's it. It was brought up, but nothing else.
Was this. I was basically this man's therapist for 3 fucking years. And as I slowly unraveled his story and figured it out and kind of figured out why he does what he does, it was all like a revelation to him, and now he's in therapy, blah, blah, blah. I recently got in contact with somebody he assaulted 7 years ago. And as she and I have been talking, it has become blatantly clear that none of what I figured out was a revelation. This man has been doing the same things, he has been using the same excuses, he's been manipulating and lying and coercing for almost a decade. And
so the only other mention of this victim that was sexually assaulted was from this Tumblr post where we can't even see the date, just saying Daniel Greene is a rapist. God. He raped me in the summer of 2016. He's a YouTuber now with hundreds of thousands of followers. Please do not follow him. He uses social justice issues for his own gain as a white straight man. Wait, hold on. So he's a piece of shit because he's a white straight man and because he raped you. I think, if you had a stronger point against him, would be that first one. He's a rapist. He did many things to me without my consent, and he raped me and left me to leave his father's house bleeding. Fuck you, Daniel. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And then right below then, feel free to reblog. Honestly, I don't care anymore. I can't handle holding it in. Right. This part is insane. If Naomi barely talked to this person about what happened, I guess that's fair. But if you're gonna bring it up as somebody else, just like you being sexually assaulted, I feel like we have to hear more about them. And if you don't have that much stuff for them, for the story, then it might just be a liability for you. Because imagine for a second, her story is true, she proved it, but then having this dead weight, which it might be a lie, it might be a hate campaign potentially, it would drag her down just a tiny bit. Because being next to somebody else who's proved to be a liar makes other people believe you just a tiny bit less. Just saying. So if there are 2 things that we have to see more of, it has to be Daniel's story and also this one as well. Because that sounds pretty bad, being raped, a white straight man leaving his dad's house bleeding. My God. I think the last thing the only funny thing about this, because again, this is very serious, the only thing that I can't stop laughing about was that, right, best case scenario, it's just an affair, just a sugar daddy and a girl situation. And then also worst case scenario, she was sexually assaulted. Fuck all of that. Either way, Daniel's fiance still stuck by him after all of this, after being cheated on, and both of them explained it to her, to Kyla. That's fucking, again, must be a very, very strong bridge between each other. Will it last through marriage? I have no idea, dude. So there you go, that's all my thoughts. This video, my one, didn't feel like much, so I'm still interested in where else this will go. And honestly, I see some people say already that this is disgusting. Not oh, if it's true, it's disgusting. Just simply, it's disgusting. period. No conversation. Like, there was this one guy, it's so funny. There's one guy where he essentially made a video, like a reaction video, just watching all of it through and through and saying how violent it is. And the fucking guy called the video, Daniel Greene is a gross creep, definitively. And I was like, oh no. I was more shocked by that because at this stage, it's probably not the smartest choice. You already decide the outcome of the story, especially if you're a commentary channel like that guy. And bear in mind, he's the same channel that interviewed Dogpag, like he was some actual credible smart guy who knew what he was doing. So maybe that channel just has a bad read on situations. I don't know. But yeah, honestly, even at this neutral point, this story is insane. Like, her storytelling of this is pretty graphic, and also if it comes out that there was some secret parts untold, then that means more insanity to the story being added on top. Like, just so much already at this point.